He turned the car on in the garage, and my fucking porn came through the Bluetooth.
Ask her. I heard Dean Blundell smokes crack. Was actually the first to smoke it with Rob Ford, I heard, too.
What's Dean got to do with it? Frankly, my dear, I don't give a Dean.
It's rated R for, restricted and for a little bit romantic.
What do we got?
Whoa, what is that in the background?
What is that over there by the mic?
Is he making wallets? What is he doing?
What's he doing?
It looks like he's... Never mind.
What's he doing? What? Is he dead?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Let's start right out. Hey, what happened?
Hey, boys, you like that? I'm doing the guns first. Right in the middle of the podcast, I'm doing 6 guns. Bing, 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 bing. Anyway, welcome. Hello. Nice to see you. Good that everybody's here. Not bad. My name is Dean. That's coincidence. Welcome to the Dean Blundell Show. James DeFiore joins us from blackballmedia.ca. Lachlan Cross from 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton. And a great pleasure to bring to the program the former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of State. He's done it all. He's now started his own party called the People's Party of Canada. Please welcome the leader and founder of the PPC, Mr. Maxime Bernier, ladies and gentlemen. Good to hear from you. Good to see you, sort of.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be with you. It's an honor.
No one said that yet, so that makes me feel good.
Pump the brakes on that. A little early for that.
Also, Maxime, you've been our best looking guest, and you didn't come on camera, which is a little disappointing.
Yeah,
so, just want to say right off the bat.
But I want to have another invitation. So I hope I'll be able to be with you on camera.
So it's a tactic. Nice. Okay.
Where are you now, Maxime?
I'm in between Montreal and Quebec City right now.
Uh-huh. Are you in a car? Are you on a train? Are you in a plane?
Yeah,
Where are you?
I'm in a car, but I don't drive right now.
No, I wouldn't drive either. You got too much going on, right? Because you're doing this interview. You're probably taking meetings all day. Are you heading back to Quebec for a period of time, or are you kind of crisscrossing? Because I know you're out west.
Yes. No, I'm going to Montreal. I'll be there this week, and this weekend I'll be back in Ontario. We will do some freedom rallies over there, and I don't know where exactly. My people are looking at my agenda, but I will always fight for freedom, and I'll do that this weekend in Ontario also.
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a second. But reading up on you, Maxime Bernier is our guest, the leader and the founder of the PPC party. I want to ask you a question that's way out of left field. I want you to tell me, because I was reading about your father. His name was Gilles Bernier. He was a morning radio guy for years and years and years. And it's not just tell me about your dad. I want my first question, which you'll find this very weird, because if you don't, then you're weird. But tell me, what lessons did you learn from your father?
But first, I know my dad is a very good communicator. Yes, he was a radio man, morning man in Beauce. Actually, he started the radio station over there a long time ago, in 1957, and up to 1984, when he decided to jump into politics with the Conservative at that time, under Brian Mulroney. What I learned from him, I like ideas, but I like also to be with people. And my dad is a people guy. It's so important. And being a politician, I like to be on the ground. I like to be with people. I like to participate with them in different activities in their day-to-day lives. And that's what I did when I was a member of parliament. And now that's what I'm doing as the leader of the PPC, traveling across the country. So, and my dad always told me, Maxime, if you have an ideas and you believe in something, don't hesitate, speak loud and express yourself with good arguments, and you may be able to convince some people. And that's what I'm doing actually right now with the PPC.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let's get into that, though. The PPC, the People's Party of Canada, you started it in 2018. almost won the conservative leadership. You lost by like just the smallest of margins, and then you ported your talents into this new party. What is the PPC? What does it stand for? What's it all about? Because over the past, I would say, year since the pandemic started, and I'm very pro-mask, very pro-people. My theory is if you're not feeling this, you're not feeling much. And so I've been inundated with, and this is largely my knowledge of you, other than what I've read, is a lot of your followers don't want people to get vaccinated. A lot of people that have PPC as their logo on their Twitter feed, a lot of people that are PPC members or like your party and what you stand for got very aggressive with us specifically last week over us saying you should believe science over conspiracy theories.
Yeah, first of all, the PPC is a party based on 4 principles, and I think that's very important: individual freedom, personal responsibility, respect, and fairness. And we are doing politics differently. When I'm saying that, it is not a slogan, it is not a buzzword, it is something that it's what I'm doing every day. Why I'm saying that we are doing politics differently? Because we have a vision for this country with a smaller government in Ottawa, a government that will respect the Constitution, that will respect taxpayers, and will have more freedom. And with more freedom, you have more prosperity. But I don't try to, I'll give you an example. Like I'm against the cartel in the milk, dairy, and poultry because we are paying twice the price for these products if you compare that with the US. So we must abolish that. We must have a free market there. But it's not popular to speak about that. It was not when I started to speak about that because nobody understands that. And so for me, it's important that it's a policy that will be very important for consumers. And I don't want to give any privilege to a special interest group. So I'm not scared to speak about it. And because I think it's the best idea, it's the best for consumers. And the more you speak, the more support you'll have. But usually a traditional politician will take a policy or a subject if there's about 30, 35%, 40% of people on that side, and he'll try to convince a little bit more. For us, we have good ideas and we want to put them in front. And the more we speak, the more people will be able to understand our policy. So speaking about vaccine, I'm very clear that I'm against a mandatory vaccine, and we don't have that in this country right now. Everybody is free to have the COVID vaccine or not. And so I'm okay with that. And
freedom.
Yes.
So we have freedom.
Yes, we have freedom and responsibility. People must be responsible. So I'm not anti-vaccine. I had vaccine in the past. I was, like you said, foreign affairs minister. So I had all the vaccine that I needed to have to be able to travel in Africa and in other countries. And so I'm not anti-vaccine. But what I said personally on that COVID vaccine, if I look at the data and the statistic, I'm 58 years old. I'm in shape. 4 years ago, I ran 106 kilometers in less than 13 hours.
That was an ultra marathon you did?
Yeah, the ultra marathon.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy that you did that.
Awesome.
I crossed my riding in Beauce from the south of the riding to the north of the riding. That was 106 kilometers. And I did that also to raise money for a food bank in my riding. And we were able to raise in a day $165,000. Awesome. So I'm still running. So first of all, I'm 58 years old. I think I'm still young. Second, I'm in shape. And third, if I'm looking at the data, the people who died from COVID was 80% of them were older people with comorbidities. So, and if you look at the statistic coming from Statistic Canada, it's official statistic because we have that after a year. So if you're under 70 years old, you have 99.99% chances of surviving if you have COVID. So that means that my chance, because I'm 58, to die from COVID, it's 0.05%. So that's why I decided not to take that vaccine. But I'm not against vaccine, and I hope that people will take their decision, and we will reach the herd immunity with two kinds of Canadians: the one who will take the vaccine and the one who had COVID, sick or not sick, because you can have COVID and you don't know. And maybe I had COVID. I don't know. I didn't do any tests. I always feel good. But
Mr. Bernier, this is James Dufour. I just wanted to make sure that we have enough time to get a few of the questions in that I think a lot of people are trying to make us ask you right now. So I think we should get this one out of the way. I think Dean started to go there a little bit. And we had this conversation when I interviewed you. I think we're going back 2 years maybe now, after the last election, where you felt there was meddling done with your campaign. But it does seem that being the party that is probably, I think you would agree, the farthest to the right, so to speak, you are liable to attract people that you might not want. In fact, when you spoke with me, you said that your party was not a party for white supremacists and they should go find their own party.
Yes,
they do seem, and I'm not saying it's your fault, but I am saying they do seem to be attracted to your party if they were to pick one party. And I was just wondering how you felt about that.
Like I said in the beginning, they're not welcome in our party. And I'll give you an example. Actually, some people and the Conservative Party of Canada with Mr. Kinsella in Ontario, they try to paint our party as a racist party. They said, and Kinsella said that I was a Nazi and a racist. And actually, I'm suing him right now in court in Ontario. I'll be in court in June. I will win that case. And it's too important for my own reputation and for the reputation of the People's Party of Canada. So that being said, people who are saying that because we are the only political party at the federal level who is fighting for fewer immigrants. That's a debate that we had a long time ago in Quebec. As you know, Quebec is the only francophone part in North America. And for Quebec to keep their culture and the society, it's important to control their immigration. And actually, we have a special deal with the federal government on immigration. I hope that every province can have a special deal with the federal government also. So having a discussion on immigration in Quebec is not new. Actually, the Premier of Quebec, Legault, said during the last campaign that he wanted to cut immigration by 20% in Quebec. Nobody said at that time that he was a racist. But that debate in English Canada, it's a new debate. And people said that to me. But also, I must admit that I had a discussion after the last campaign with Preston Manning. And as you know, Preston Manning was the founder of the Reform Party of Canada. And Preston said, Maxime, they did the same thing to me my first election when we started the Reform Party. They were saying that we were racist and white supremacists. And so that was
Kinsella too.
Kinsella likes to call people racist. I'm finding out today.
Yeah. Like every conservative leader that they ever had, he was like sending out his little interns.
So that being said, Preston told me, Maxime, the second election, they were not able to say that anymore because it was not true. And for us, that's the same thing. So if you believe in our principles, you are welcome in our party. If not, stay at home or create your own party if you want.
But do you think that you need to, look, I don't ever want to tell people that they have to disassociate themselves from people that are unsavory that happen to like their party. But wouldn't it be easier for you as a leader of the PPC to just one day hold a press conference or something and say, look, if you have these beliefs, leave the party. So that way that no one can ever ask you that question
statement.
Again. Yeah. Like no one can ever ask you that question again, and you can even blame it on the liberal media if you want, but you at least could go up there and maybe say it, right?
But I did it. I did it, in fact, at the last campaign. I have all the mainstream media against me and asking me that question at every interview that I was doing. That was the first question. And I said, they're not welcome. I don't want them. That's it. The next question, please. And I don't have to do a press conference to justify myself why I'm not a racist. I'm not a racist. That's it. And look at what I said and what I did in the past. You won't find anything. And so for me, the conversation is closed, and it will be it will be close a little bit more after my win against Kinsella this June. And that's why it was important to. And my lawyer told me, maybe we can have an agreement with Kinsella. I'm suing him for $350,000. I said, no, I don't want any agreement. I want a judgment from a judge that's going to say, I look at all the evidence in front of me, and Bernier is not a racist, and Kinsella, you must pay $350,000 to the People's Party of Canada.
Maxime, hey, I would love that. I would love that, just for the record, because Kinsella is a piece of shit. Go, Lachlan.
Maxime, my name is Lachlan Cross. I actually live and work in Alberta. See, if I was on the radio and I said I was going to vote for a party that was going to keep the French out of Alberta, it would cause a lot of problems. It would be something that I would get into a lot of trouble for. So you see how it's portrayed. Like, I don't want to drag this out because we haven't got you for long, but you understand the hypocrisy of what it is that you're looking for and why you are attracting that type of voter in the country. Right? Like, for some reason it's okay for Quebec to say we want to control immigration to protect our culture, but in other parts of the country you could never say that. I can't go on the radio and say, I want to control immigration in Alberta so we can keep ourselves more redneck. It just doesn't work that way. Right?
No, what I'm saying for you, you know, I said that during the campaign, and that's part of our platform. I said, you know, being a Canadian, it's a privilege first. You know, we don't believe in open borders. You know, everybody cannot come here in our country. It's the basics. So yes, we have an immigration system with points. You know, if you speak English or French, you have more points and things like that. That's a good system. But right now, with Justin Trudeau, he believes in open borders. Under Mr. Harper, we had 250,000 newcomers every year. Now it's going to 350,000, and next year it will be 450,000. And Brian Mulroney said recently in the news that he wants 1 million people. That must be the goal. So you know, we want to have people that will come here, will share our values, will share the Western civilization values. They will know that, you know, a man and a woman are equal in front of the law, that you want the freedom is there, you're responsible. So it's normal. We did that in the past. I want us to be able to do that in the future, because we have a culture in Canada, in English Canada and in Quebec. There's a culture that we must promote. And
you want numbers to be at 150,000. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So here, listen, I get what you're saying, completely disagree with it. And let me just say why.
Yeah.
And let me ask you a couple of questions in this small dissertation.
Yeah.
I am of the firm belief that government is here to promote the equality of all of its citizens.
I agree with that.
And to find a mutual benefit and to protect the people of that country. Do you agree with those things?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay, so if that's the case, let's set this over here: equality, mutual benefit at all costs, and the protection of the citizens of this country. And you believe that there is a virus, correct? You believe that you believe there's a pandemic?
Yeah, I'm not a conspiratist. I believe that's real. There's a virus, and that virus is killing people, older people, like I said, with comorbidities. And
I lost a 30-year-old friend the other day too, by the way, and 2 of our employees have had it, and they're still struggling with long haul effects. So it's not just like to say it's just the older generation doesn't wash.
No. Usually, who's the people? It's the statistic. No, 80% of the deaths in Canada, it's in older people more than 70 years old. Right. That's the statistic. But yes,
right, I understand. Yeah, I understand all the demographics. Totally, I get the demographics. But going back to my original statement, if equality and the equality of opportunity, if protection and mutual benefit is the government's first and foremost job, how do you explain you showing, and if you believe in science, and if you believe there's a pandemic, how do you explain your tour across British Columbia, as well as your stop in Barrie yesterday, knowing full well you believe in science, you believe there's a pandemic, you understand the efficacy of the drugs, and he's gone.
He could have lost connection.
Yeah, I don't think that. I would be surprised if he bailed at that point.
Oh,
he doesn't seem.
There he is again. No.
Oh,
Okay,
he lost connection. There you go.
Hey, so glad you're back. So glad you're back. You're like he's gone. He's gone in the middle of the question.
No, I'm there, guys. Sorry about that.
Okay, so let me just get to the. Thank you very much for checking back in, because it's a tough point to check back in, and I appreciate you doing that. But you have to help me and everybody around here, every Canadian who's been making a sacrifice for the greater good. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The fruit of this life is good character and acts for the common good." When I see people that want to be in government standing up for victims, not freedom, because that's not freedom to me. Freedom is the ability for all Canadians to feel safe, equal, and to be able to discover mutual benefit in this country. I don't see any of that. And I certainly didn't see it when you were in Barrie. And so while I understand that this is a great opportunity for you to endear your platform of the PPC to new possible members, people who might have something that they identify with what you say, doing it at this point in doing what you did yesterday, and I've said this to everybody that's part of these freedom rallies, is so completely backwards to me, so completely irresponsible to me, that I would have a very difficult time voting for a PPC member after watching what happened in Barrie yesterday and knowing that you're going to continue to do that.
So, okay, let me answer that. I can understand. First of all,
sorry, we can't see. If you could speak up a little bit, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I understand your point on that. So first of all, we must look at what is happening all across, not only in Canada, but also in North America. You had country and states in the US that had strong lockdowns, like us here in Canada, and other states that didn't have lockdowns. The statistic and the data after a year,
I'm not talking about the lockdown though, Maxine. I'm talking about showing up to a mass rally in the middle of a pandemic if you believe in science and you believe in the greater good. None of that makes any sense. I'm not talking about the U.S. I'm talking about this specific example of not just you, a lot of people that have an alternative opinion.
The overall message.
But also believe in science. If the greater good is the most important aspect and the truth is the most important aspect of living, why are you doing this?
Yeah, but first, because for me, like, we cannot take for granted our freedoms, and that's what is happening right now. When you have authoritarian governments like Ford did, and because of this rally, I think Ford government backtrack. You know, when you ask your police to ask people where they are going and able to arrest them for nothing, it's too much. We're not in a communist country. When your kids cannot play out there in a playground, it's too much. So totally. I think the Ford government understand that. So, but we must protect, and I think we must have a focused protection for people who are vulnerable. And you know, I'm on the side of the expert that are giving advice to the governor of Florida, the three experts that did what's the name of the declaration? I don't remember, but the three experts that are saying, you know, we must protect the elders and all. It's the first time in this story that we had all these lockdowns. And usually it's not the first time in the history that we had a virus, but it's the first time that we act like that. So these people that were at this rally, they're free and responsible. So if maybe half of them had the vaccine or not, I don't know, but that's their choice.
12 people that were at that rally were tested positive Sunday or yesterday collectively.
Yeah, but you know that there's a lot of positive, and that's the science. There's a lot of positive that are fake positive, and if you want to reach herd immunity, I think that's the most important. People, because that's the only way to get rid of all these authoritarian measures is to have herd immunity, and the only way to have that, it's people who have the virus and are asymptomatic because they will have antibodies. and people who decided to have also the vaccine. So all these two kinds of people together will help us to have herd immunity. So it's not only the vaccine that will do that. It's also people who have the virus and are asymptomatic. So I respect these people that they want to. If you take the vaccine, and I'm not taking the vaccine, I'm not doing anything against you because you have the full protection. So don't blame me because
no. And listen, I'm not like if there are people out there that don't want to get the vaccine, I highly encourage people to do it. But I feel the same way about people that don't wear masks. Listen, if you're not wearing masks, that's fine. That's up to you. I'm wearing mine. I'm getting vaccine. So if you don't want to do those things, that's up to you. Let the chips fall where they may when it comes to vaccine passports and small business.
That's the problem where we're in right now. Is there's a divide between those two groups, right?
But exactly. But what I'm talking about is physically going out and encouraging people in the middle of a pandemic to come and join you in large groups. And 12 people in that thing got diagnosed with positive diagnosis the next day.
Trudeau
I
don't know
the standard. Like I don't know if they're sick. I don't know how they are today. But like we're not.
But indeed, I must tell you that I encourage people in the rally to respect the regulation. I did a speech. I won't wear a mask when I'm speaking to people. And I said in the beginning, I don't know if the media covered that. Thank you for being here. As you know, it's a protest against the measures that your government is imposing. I want you to respect the rules, and that will be your choice. So when I'm saying that, you can be social distancing. I did another rally at Niagara Falls, and I can tell you it was a big park over there, and most of the people respect the social distancing outside at that rally. But at the rally at Barrie, that was not the case. But I'm saying that to people, there's some rules that, because I don't want us to have and them to have fines and being arrested and things like that. So but at the end, that's their choice.
But isn't there a argument that you just made earlier when you said that you believe that the virus exists? It kills mostly older people. But these types of events that you did in Barrie are the exact type of events that will spread this to older people and kill them. And I think that's sort of the point that we're sort of looking at. Like there's probably a way to rally people to your cause without putting them all in one spot. Like we live in a digital age, maybe like ask them all to go outside and take a picture of their house to prove that they're outside. I don't know, but in a way that doesn't, I mean, they're called super spreader events for a reason, and herd immunity works over an amount of time, like years sometimes. So it's not, you can't be saying that event is good for herd immunity because it might take a couple of sacrificial lambs along the way. And I don't think that's your intention, obviously, but does that worry you?
If he was still on the phone with us, he just lost his signal again.
That time it might have been because of me.
That was a great question. No, he's back. This is why we never sewer people. This is why we say nice things about people when they lose connections, Maxime, because they come back. Great to come back.
I'm there. I'm just back. Sorry about that. It's a very bad connection.
No problem.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much you heard about that.
We were just asking you whether or not you cared about old people dying. I'm kidding. Okay.
Well, but there's a question there, right? Yeah. There's a question there, which is, everybody seems to cite the mortality rate in a demographic that they're not in as it being okay. And the way that I'm wired, Maxime, I just don't. I'm not cool with that. And I think generally speaking, people of character or virtue would say, hey, listen, it would be really nice if we could save as many people as we could, right? It would be really nice if we could somehow, that's okay. Somehow, save people instead of encouraging other people to not give a shit about saving people. Like that's sort of where I'm at.
And I'm not too sure okay if just dumb people died.
Maybe that's why he's doing the rallies.
Can you invite Chris Sky to your next rally?
Hello.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, that's okay. Good, Maxime. Thanks for keep coming back.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I hope it will be okay now.
We're good now. Just that number, like how people cite that older demo as the sacrifice we're making. I'm not happy with any life lost, no matter how old they are, and I think that's what James was trying to get to.
I'm really just wondering if he's worried, Maxime. I'm wondering if you're worried that having big rallies could, speed up a person infecting another person who then dies? Like, is that something that you've thought about?
Yeah, but first of all, yes, I think it's important to speak about people who died from that virus. Actually, in the middle of the pandemic, in the beginning, I think in Quebec, I have the data in Quebec, about 50 people were dying a day, and now it's about 8. The average is 8 a day. In Ontario, it's about 20 a day. And Ontario, it's twice the population of Quebec. So there's less people because we know how to treat them. And we have also the vaccine. We are coming to a herd immunity that will come. So yes, it's one death. It's too much. But at least we have less people. And that's why I'm saying, let's focus on the people who are more at risk. And me, at 58 years old, I have 0.05% chance to die from that virus. So I must be able to do what I want to do. Let's reopen. And also, look, the young people, the children at school, they must go back at school in person. They're not in danger of dying from that virus. So that's what I don't like from these.
How do you know that?
measures.
How do you know that the kids aren't in danger of dying from this virus?
But if you look at the data in the US, I don't have the data in Canada. If you have 30 years old and less, you have more chances of dying of the seasonal flu than COVID-19. 30 and less. So that's not a Canadian statistic. I agree with that. That's US statistic. But it's yes, young people can have it, can be asymptomatic, and they can transmit it. I understand that. But protect people who are more at risk and more vulnerable. And we didn't do that. Actually, in Quebec, for sure, they didn't do that. 85% in Quebec of the deaths are coming from people who are living in a long-term care seniors home controlled by the government. And so the government is responsible for that. And now they're closing the economy. In the beginning, that was okay. We didn't know how to deal with that virus. But after a year, we know how to deal. There's treatments. The vaccine is there. So, and it's not time to double down on authoritarian measures.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the authoritarian measures. And you know what? Go ahead, Lockman, because I think.
I have a question sort of to help maybe get us off of this line. It's hard to not talk about this right now based on where we're at. But if you were still a member, let's take everything out of what's happened the last couple of years to get you to where you are, where you're leading another party. Let's say you were a member of the Conservative government and you were actually in power right now. What would do you think you would be? Do you think you would have an impact on the decisions being made right now? And what do you think your voice would be? Yeah. As far as somebody with a different point of view? I'm trying not to use too many colloquial sayings here, but
okay, no, I understand your point. First, I think it's a good question because, as you know, I'm doing politics at the federal level, and all these measures has been imposed by provincial governments because that's under their jurisdiction. Healthcare, it's 100% a provincial jurisdiction. So me, as a person elected at the federal level, I think right now the policy must be to not give any incentives to provinces for them to continue their lockdowns. So what I'm saying is these governments are able to do lockdowns because they receive financial support from the federal government. And that's an encouragement to go on and on and on with these lockdowns. So my position is to stop all economic support that the federal government is giving right now to provinces. That's an incentive for the economic loss of lockdowns. So the federal government is giving incentives, financial incentive for the economic loss of these lockdowns, because we know that there's a huge cost to that. Look at our deficit right now. So that would be the first incentive, and I think provinces will look twice and think twice before going on with these lockdowns, because the federal government won't be there to compensate the economic loss of that. And
specifically to the federal government, I know Bill C-10. I have a problem with Bill C-10. It's an internet censorship bill. What other pieces of legislation are you worried about? Totalitarian is a really strong word. I think someone might be able to make the argument that these are like the baby steps.
Those are big ones.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so I get it. Like the government is making a lot of big decisions, I would say. I'm not a big fan of the Trudeau government, but the authoritarian and totalitarianism and all that, it's pretty strong stuff. So Bill can you talk about the Bill C-10? Because actually, I think we can all find common ground on Bill C-10, which is giving the CRTC even more power.
Well, yeah, talk about it, but I want to know about the words authoritarianism and the other stuff. Why would you use those words?
Okay, I'll give you the example of the Ontario government. When the Premier of Ontario said in a press conference...
Hey, Max, you might be confusing authoritarian with idiot.
When he said Friday night, I'm asking the police in Ontario and I'm giving you the authority to stop everybody on the road for no reason. And when your police force decided not to follow that, that's authoritarian. And the common sense was with the police force. They said, no, we cannot do that in a democratic country and we won't do it. And so that was authoritarian, and he backed off after that. So that's a nice example. About the censorship, I think the censorship is everywhere on social media, and now you have a government that is saying, I want to have a new bill that will give more power to bureaucrats to look at what you can say and what you cannot say on social media. It's too much, I have the right to insult you if I want to insult you. If you don't like it, it's not my problem. It's your problem.
There we go. Common ground.
But there's the criminal code. We have the criminal code that is there, and we don't need more regulations. We don't need more legislation.
Agreed, Max. But no one uses I wish people would. It's like anytime it comes to social media or online stuff, no one gets legally. We should.
But we
should follow up.
Look, isn't that what your lawsuit with Kinsella is mostly about, right?
Yeah, that's why.
But wouldn't restrictions on the internet, wouldn't that have made Kinsella slander you publicly?
No, I prefer Kinsella to be able to say what he wants to say, and if I don't like it and I think that it's a discrimination, it's my responsibility as a Canadian citizen to sue him, and that's what I'm doing. I prefer him to be able to say everything that he can, and if he's saying something that it's against the law and I can do something, I will. So there's a limit to his freedom, but I want him to be able to say what he wants to say. Now he is responsible. I believe in individual responsibility, individual freedom, and personal responsibility. He will be responsible when I will have a judgment, and that will be it.
You know what? And two, it's hard to make money off people when they're not allowed to slander you.
But I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that for the money, because I think he won't be able to pay that. I think this guy is bankrupt. But
he is divorced. You're right, Max. He is
morally or physically bankrupt.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. So, but
just
for me,
take his car.
It's a principle. It's for the principle, and I will have that judgment in my favor, and I'll be able to do interview like that with other mainstream journalists and say, the court look at all the evidence, and this party and the leader is not racist.
Mm-hmm. How many mainstream media invitations do you get, Maxime?
Actually, I was in a French mainstream media this morning, a radio station with a lady, and about all these lockdowns, and also the rally that I did, and I must admit that she was not happy with what I did, but we had a good conversation, and she said, "Mr. Bernier, you're not responsible because you're out there, you won't have the vaccine, but if you have COVID and you're in a hospital and in an emergency room, you're going to take a bed that another person won't be able to have, so you must feel guilty." I said, first of all, look at the data. If I have COVID like I said, I had 0.05% chance of dying from that. And because, if I'm in shape and I don't have any comorbidity, I'm not diabetic, I'm in shape. And so if I have COVID, maybe I will be asymptomatic. So the risk and the chances for me to have COVID and to go to an emergency room is very low. So, by
what about other people? What about other people while you're not vaccinated? What about spreading? What about shedding? What about those things, right? Like, I think that's what pisses a lot of people off, Max, is, there are a lot of people doing their very best, their equal best to try and make it through this thing, doing what we're told to do, which a lot of people will say that's because we're beta males, or a lot of people will say that's because we just believe in the government.
I just got called a sheep. So
I usually get called a Nazi, so it's just a haircut.
No,
and this vaccine is based around what is the best thing to do as a Canadian for everybody involved? How am I going to be part of this solution? So how is the refusal to get a vaccine, which is your choice, I really don't care, or your refusal to not take part in these rallies, these super spreader events, how is that helping?
But first of all, I think, the people who are coming to this rally, they know the risk that they're facing, but I think for them it's more important to fight for our freedoms and to it's their choice. That's a democracy. You cannot you cannot stop that. Actually, the police were there in Barrie, and they were there. They were looking at us. They were doing their job, and I can tell you that some people received the fines for being there.
Did you get one?
No, not right now. I don't. Maybe I'll receive one later, but I didn't receive any fines. And they know how to reach me if they want to give me a fines. And if I have a fines, I will contest that up to the Supreme Court of Canada.
What if someone dies that came down with the virus at that rally?
Yeah, so you want to put me in a situation that I will be responsible for everybody.
No, I'm just asking how you would feel. I'm not putting you in the situation. I'm not saying you did it. I'm saying there was a rally, you spoke at it. Some people tested positive after, not your fault. You weren't the guy. You didn't give it to people. You didn't walk around spread it. But I'm saying the collection of people there, like what happens if someone passes away? Will there be any feeling of like, maybe I shouldn't have?
But it would be sad first, for sure. And but all these people who are coming there, they know the risk, and they said, I'm taking that risk, and that's I cannot stop people to come, but I can tell them when they're coming, we are outside, and I want them to have social distancing. And I said that before my speech. You can hear me. There's a good song computer. You can hear me pretty well here. So if you want to be a little bit separate from each other, I think it would be good. But yeah,
Maxime,
okay.
Yeah. I have a quick question. So one of the things
we'll wrap up.
Yeah, then
we'll let him go. Max, you've been super kind with your time. Thank you.
Yes,
thank you. Yeah.
One of the things that I try to do to make myself feel like I'm being a better person is I try to exercise a lack of judgment, and it's not easy. I think it's one of the bigger issues we have in the world today. And I'm just wondering if there's anything that you can tell me, because I hope that no one judges me because I want to get the vaccine because I want to drink at football games this summer, right? And you're
gonna cheer for which team?
The Eskimos. The Eskimos.
I'm from Montreal.
I know that's your fault. That is your fault, Max. Okay, so
I'm also from Montreal, so
I am desperately trying to find things about these rallies and about the separation in society today to bridge that gap so that I have less judgment. One of the things I came up with today was that a lot of these people that attend these anti-mask rallies, it's their only social situation of the week. So it's kind of like it's like an outing. It's like, hey, they don't have barbecues or anything like that going on right now. So it's
speed dating.
Yeah, it's like, so can you add to that? Can you help me out on that front? Like, I am desperately trying not to be judgy, and I'm not good at it, but I'm trying not to be. Is there
Don't
anything?
use the word freedom in your answer. Now go.
Okay, it will be tough. No, that being said, I don't want to judge people who are coming to these rallies. I'm not there to judge them. I'm there to tell them what is happening right now, what I don't like from the government reaction to all that, and I'm telling them, look at other jurisdiction when there's no lockdowns. It's about the same, the number of cases, the number of deaths, and if you compare that with other jurisdiction when they have stricter lockdowns. So let's do something else that is working. And that's my message. And I don't know what people are thinking, what they want to do with that message, but I think it's well received. But I understand that I'm not the only Canadian at the federal level who's speaking like that. Maybe I won't have a lot of votes. Maybe I'm losing your vote, guys. Maybe I'm losing your support. But for me, that fight is more important than try to please everybody. And I think
that's fair.
I think that's what I feel for.
You should get a beer gardens at the next rally, though.
Yeah. If you're gonna do it, go all the way.
Yeah.
So, guys, I have to leave because I have other appointments. But
Max,
sorry about that.
I
wasn't able to be on the video, and the connection was not so good. But I was very pleased, and I will be ready to do another one with the video connection when the
next time we need to see your pretty face, Max.
Yeah, we need to see you. Look forward to seeing you, the runner, Maxime Bernier, head of the PPC. Thank you for your time. You run and have an excellent day. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day, guys. Bye-bye.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye. There you go.
I have a good
Maxime
nickname.
Bernier,
I have a
leader
good
of the
nickname for
PPC.
Maxime Bernier.
Mad Max? I just came up with it.
Tabal Max.
Tabal Max.
Yeah.
Tabal
Max.
What do you make of that? You know what? I think, it's funny because obviously he knows that I'm not pleased with his antics on the weekend, and he obviously knows that
but he still came on
where we stand, right?
Yeah.
But he and this is where not many people will say something like this after an interview like that. He talks about something that's really important, right? And I think a lot of very misguided electric factory libertarians are focused on that issue, right? And you know what? They're hyper-focused on it. Like we're hyper-focused on making people wear masks. They're hyper-focused on it because I think it comes from a decent place, which is like, hold the fucking phone, Doug Ford, on Friday. You're just gonna pull us over to make sure we're compliant. You're just gonna start IDing us and carding us, which, by the way, if you're black, before the announcement on Friday, you were gonna have a terrible fucking weekend. You were gonna have a terrible weekend, and so that was walked back. Fordsy walked that back, and then the police unions here in Toronto after the announcement on Friday, which we podcasted right through. They said Doug Ford's like, okay, we're shutting everything down, which he's not. Total fucking lie. All the businesses that should be open or should be closed are still open. Warehouses, people are still getting sick, dying, killing families from it, that kind of stuff. Construction. So he still didn't do what needed to be done. Instead, he tried to look like an authoritarian. Now, you can do one of two things to get buy-in from people. Really only one, and that's called bottom up. Top down means you have no idea what the fuck is going on below you, right? Bottom up means you've consulted people here, and you're going to do what's in the best interest of the people from that bottom up perspective. You're going to try and find out where you can fit in, how you can be of service, and where you can help. Just to blanket the entire province with a go fuck yourself, the cops are coming for you if you step out of your fucking house.
But the interesting thing about that
fucking issue.
The interesting thing about
that's what Max is talking about. Sorry, go ahead.
I get that, but he also refers to these governments as authoritarian, and it didn't work.
I don't think he meant it literally. I don't think if you actually sat down with him, he was saying, Doug Ford is an authoritarian leader of a totalitarian party. I don't think he would say that.
But the problem I have is that James, people in this country believe that that's what's happening.
Yeah. Do you think that? Because I think that I don't know how many think that, because I think a lot of people
up until this point, until Doug Ford got authoritarian on Friday, they were still calling us an authoritarian movement. They were still referring to each government provincially and federally as tyrannical and authoritarian.
Right.
Like they were still doing that. However, in this one example that he's citing, I see it.
But the example that usually you see online, I think that you're talking about, is most of the time a federal criticism. It's a criticism against the Trudeau government. It's the same kind of criticism that we've been hearing, and it's not untrue. It's just whether or not you trust the health experts, because the health experts are saying to the politicians, this is what you should do, and they're taking their advice. And the Max Bernier fans are saying that means that unelected officials are making governmental decisions. And so it's kind of a weird riddle, because really what they're doing is listening to experts and then making the decisions based on the expert advice. They are kind of at the mercy of the experts. I think you could agree, right?
Because I think what Doug Ford was doing was listening to the experts and doing whatever the fuck he wanted anyway.
True. That's true. But most of the stuff that you see online, most of the stuff that you see online, they're talking about the Trudeau government. They're saying that it's a communist type of situation that we're in right now, where the government is just like telling us what to do, and it's a lot of governmental services, and we don't really have choices.
Yeah, people are stupid.
That's what they're saying.
Are just, you know what? I was thinking about.
It's an impossible situation for any government, because you have to make these decisions. Right?
It is, especially if you're doing everything wrong, like Ontario has done.
Have we got the right structure in place?
No, we don't have any structure in place. We have none.
Is this going to make things worse? Should the federal government have more control over what the provinces say and do health-wise? I mean,
well, this is the question, because what
across the borders.
Yeah, well, and this is a question. Like when this whole thing started, right? Doug Ford refused help from everybody. He refused the Red Cross last week. 3 months ago, he refused the Red Cross with the LTC disaster. He refused any help from Trudeau. He kept telling everybody he could do it himself. Now he can't. Now they had to send out last week a letter to every province saying, send your doctors, nurses, and PPE equipment. Send your ventilators. Send us everything you can. We're fucked. And then Trudeau said, we'll send in the Red Cross. And you know what Doug Ford said? Don't worry about it. We got it. Still, and this is at the same time that Doug Ford and his administration sent a fucking letter to the Prime Minister saying, hey, can you send somebody?
Alberta actually admitted that Ontario asked for healthcare workers today.
What's that?
Alberta admitted. Kenny said, yeah, no, Ontario's looking, we're sending them nurses. Doctors and nurses.
And do you know who Doug Ford asked first instead of putting out an APB for any help? Do you know who he asked first? No. The leaders of 2 conservative provinces. That's it. Well, yeah. Because that's what matters to him. Your life doesn't matter to him, James, Ontario resident.
My life doesn't matter to many people. But you know what? You're right, though. But what he did was that first thing that he did, that was the biggest mistake at the beginning, was that he was told by health experts not to allow anyone to go get tested, because it would bog down the system. And that's exactly what happened. And Christine Elliott had to, under oath at a committee hearing, basically say, this wasn't my decision. You're going to have to ask the premier, because, and yeah, you're right. And a lot of those decisions have been political.
I think that's the biggest issue that we have right now.
All of them. We're here, James. Jesus fucking Christ. Is someone not going to spill the tea? Like, listen, I think what Max is doing by going to these rallies is fucking ridiculous. And I told him as much. And then I cited some science and some philosophy behind, hey, the greater good's an important thing. You point to one metric, one statistic, whether it's infection ratios, whether it's a confidence index, whether it's SARS-CoV-2 compliance. You point to one statistic that tells me that Doug Ford didn't choose his friends' businesses not to hump them with sick day paid leave for people who really just didn't want to get the virus and kill their families, which they ignored today again. I was watching, listen, I never watch Question Period because it's boring as balls.
It's a joke.
Yeah, it's like watching paint dry. I'm watching Question Period today. Andrea Horvath, NDP, nice lady. I've known her for years. I would never vote for the NDP party because I don't identify with anything they want us to do. So, but she's sitting there going, hey, everybody, can we get sick pay for people just to go and get vaccines? Like, will the government reimburse employers for a couple hours in the afternoon so their employees who shouldn't be fucking working can at least go and get a vaccine? 118 conservatives voted that down. And people still have to fucking work. Like, this isn't about you and your health. This isn't about grandma. This isn't about long. This is about a guy who doesn't give a fuck about
and I'm seeing people,
about me, about anybody else in this province. The only fucking thing that he cares about is himself. And you know how I know that? Because we're fucking here. And here's the other thing. It's our fault. It is our fault. All we are doing now, life has a tax, friends. And I'm not talking about a financial tax. I'm talking about tax for everything you choose to do. Every decision you make, there's a tax. You choose to cheat on your wife, there's a tax. You choose to spend money on a car, there's a tax. You choose to help somebody, there's going to be a tax, whether it be good or bad. But if you choose to continually vote for people of shit character, and we knew his character. We knew Doug Ford's character. He's Rob Ford's brother. He fucking lied for 5 years about his brother's crack habit, for fuck's sakes. And we elected him the prime minister. This is our fault. We act like we're not blameless. We are. If you voted for Doug Ford, you put him in there. And then I said that this weekend. We're just paying the tax.
I'm in Alberta. It's your fucking fault, not me.
Which is what we've done. We are paying the tax on electing a man who we knew had terrible fucking character. That's
I love it how the guy with Jason Kenney as the premier just was lecturing us about Doug Ford. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's your problem, not ours.
But also, I see people in the comments. I see people in the comments, and they're asking, they're talking about Justin Trudeau's procurement of vaccines, and that was a problem. That was a problem 3 months ago, and that's no longer a problem.
The problem is what happens, James, is you end up in a conversation about Doug Ford, right? And then everyone wants you to, but what about just you
pivot to Trudeau?
Pivot, and then when you go, well, I don't like him either, and then they bring up another point. It's so I'm getting frustrated because everything is bogged down with politics, right?
I'm Fred Astaire. I can dance on both ends, so fuck it.
Yeah.
You can think that Doug Ford's an idiot, and guess what? You can still think Justin Trudeau's a douchebag.
Yes,
you do not have to pick one of those sides.
I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying what ends up happening when you're being viewed or when people are listening to you is if you can't shoot the middle and stuff like this. It's the biggest issue with politics. It's why no one in the middle is represented anymore, because everyone is either
people at both ends of the spectrum, the loudest people that want to make everybody else pay for whatever it is they think everybody else has to pay for.
So then we never vote somebody in because they're worthy of taking over the government. We just vote somebody out. And then you get some fat bastard that's of the Conservative Party that takes your education system back to 1950s, and they remove any mentions of the word lesbian, right? Like, it's just, you can't fucking win. I'd say this all the time whenever we're talking about representation or governments or anything like that on my show, is just at some point, when are you guys going to realize there's this huge chunk of people in the middle that are just being completely and totally unserviced? The right's too far fucking right, and the left is too far left. And if you're in the middle, who do you vote for? Well, I don't even know anymore. Because they're all fucking idiots. They're all fucking idiots.
They
all
are,
of them.
But you know what and you're 100% right.
Well, wait, shout out to Nathaniel Erskine Smith, who's not one of those people, I don't think, but go ahead.
Not yet.
Not yet.
He's a vegan. I don't think I can bring myself to vote for a vegan.
But that's for health reasons.
But you're not wrong, because, I spent the entire, let me explain the weekend, right?
This should
pissing rain one of these days. I spent the entire weekend. Let me tell you my reading material this weekend, because I was this frustrated. I read the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms back to front. I read the Emergencies Act of 1988 back to front. Made, 40 pages of notes. And then I read the Emergency Management Act of Ontario, which I think is 1990. Yes, it is. It's 1990.
Have you just stopped masturbating completely?
It only takes him a few seconds. Don't worry about it.
Between chapters and sections and subsections, I would masturbate. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Somewhat violently, because I didn't understand half the shit I was reading. But here's the rub. No one's allowed to actually. Here's the rub. no one's actually allowed to assemble during a pandemic. The Provincial Emergency Act, emergency order, overrides your Charter of Rights and Freedoms for a temporary period of time, unless there's been an abuse of the application of the act. That's not happened up until Friday, which it did happen. Doug Ford abused the Emergencies Act by telling everybody to stay in their house or he's going to get the cops to fucking whip him in jail.
Hey, that's
an abuse of the Emergency Act.
That's a happy ending.
It is a happy ending, but I'm trying to get to a specific point here.
Mm-hmm.
And the specific point here is that
you're out of Jergens.
Nobody, not only do I not masturbate enough, but the greater good isn't being served. Because if you had the greater good in mind, you don't need to read about how effective masks are. 95% effective. That's a confidence index right there. Total of 21 different studies, meta-conclusion criteria, meta-analysis suggests that masks used provided a significant protective effect, 95% effective. 95. Social distancing, same fucking thing. Exact same fucking thing. Masks and social distancing work. Therefore, my mind works like this. I should wear a mask. I should keep my space. Great. I've been doing that for a fucking year. I haven't had anybody tell me not to not wear one. I haven't had an emergency announcement tell me how I have to live my life. I'm doing it for the greater good, right? So when you talk about people on the extreme ends of both parts of this spectrum, which is, you know, the woke assholes yelling at everybody to fuck off, and then the anti-maskers yelling about their freedoms, I go back to the facts every single time. And so I don't get frustrated, right? I get frustrated with myself for voting for Doug Ford, which I did.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You just made the argument that you knew he was a
voting
fucking shitbag.
Yeah, but he was voting the guy out before.
I was voting Kathleen Wynne out. I would venture a guess to say we wouldn't be here if Kathleen Wynne was the premier of this province.
Oh,
venture
I don't know
a guess.
about that.
Well, no, I don't think we would, because
there'd be a lot of cooperation with the federal government.
Yes.
So we could actually literally blame everything on the feet of Trudeau if that were the case. So if anything did go wrong, Wynne would just swim by anyways.
But I don't have to have instructions on how to be a good Canadian. I don't have to have an emergency act lorded over me. I don't need someone telling me they're going to arrest me. And we have factions of people who do, right? Where the greater good is concerned, sometimes you have to use force. The fact that we haven't used force once when you're not supposed to be gathering during a pandemic, according to the Emergencies Act of 1990 and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, once, means that, again, it's Doug Ford's fault in this province. It's his fault. Do you know why? Because he identifies with most of those people. They're his people. And he's going to lose this next election. So he's doing everything he fucking can to not piss off a few baseline voters so that he can get back into whatever it is that he thinks he is. And the ego on this fucking guy. Are you kidding me? You don't have any fucking answers. You barely got out of high school. You slung hash for a living for the majority of your teenage years. You're not a fucking scientist.
Yeah, awesome. At least he's an entrepreneur.
That's true.
Let's move on. Can we talk a little bit about what happened on the weekend after our Friday pod?
Yeah, we can. So,
James, I think we need to deal with this. I think it's one. I'm wildly entertained by what happened. And
hold on. Let me just prepare my psychology. Okay, go.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we've started, for some unknown reason, we've decided that it was a good idea to do this fucking podcast every day. So, which cuts into my drinking time. So quite often you'll see me getting drunk during a podcast. And Friday, I got shit tanked during our podcast.
I know.
And I think James started using narcotics as well.
What?
And then at some point on Friday night, late, he decided to text us frantically, trying to get a what were you trying? You wanted to go podcasting, right?
I wanted someone to give me the ability to just give me the reins so I could podcast and invite people to a podcast, because Dean, don't say who it was because I don't want to fuck it up, but there was a guest in the UK that I had this random opportunity to interview, and he's a really fucking amazing guest. He would have been an amazing guest. So
you wanted to do it at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, I was also on a very large amount of mushrooms. I do admit that, but I credit the mushrooms in getting me the interview. So you don't have to understand the position that I was in at the time. I'm tripping balls, and I was like, it wasn't for these psychedelic mushrooms, I wouldn't even got that interview with Stephen Fry. Oh shit, I said his name. Fuck. Anyways, whatever.
You need to trust me. You need to let me podcast right now.
It is.
So then he decided it was a good idea to fucking call Blundell.
That's right. I was thinking, hey, maybe Blundell's on mushrooms too.
Okay, did you get up and answer the phone? Because I looked at my phone and went, "What the fuck, dude?"
Here, I'll tell you what he did. I called him, and all I hear, I called Dean, and I'm like, Dean, and this is what Dean did. He goes, it's 2:00 in the morning, and I'm like, yeah, but he's like, I don't care, and he hangs up.
Okay, can you read the text you sent to him on Saturday morning? Because fucking Blundell was pissed you woke him up at 2:00 in the morning.
First of all, it was 1:53 in the morning, and I had been asleep since like 10. Right,
but Stephen Fry, man, come on.
But I didn't know that. All I had was, and again, also keep in mind past precedent. I have a son who struggled with drug addiction for a long period of time, and 2:00
nothing to do with the
morning,
story, but okay.
Usually followed with me going to a police precinct or somewhere to pick him up. So,
sorry,
not your fault. You didn't know that. Don't say sorry. We've already been through the stories. I've apologized too. But I'll read that part of this because Locke, you'll love it.
I need to hear you read.
2:00 in the morning, my phone goes off and I panic. And when someone wakes me up, I'm never happy. I'm just instantly angry. It's the go-to emotion. Someone wakes me up, I'm like, go fuck yourself. Out of nowhere. My kids, they'll wake me up on the couch, and this is like almost every night. 9:30, 10. Hey Dad, I'm like, how did I fucking kill you? I'll fucking kill you, I swear to God. What? Sorry, kids. Sorry, guys. So the phone rings and it's 2 in the morning, and I don't know what's happening, and I pick it up and it's hello. And it's like
don't exaggerate.
It's James. Listen, I can't explain right now. I can't explain, but I need a podcast right now. I go like this. Right I go like this. It's 2 in the morning. I don't care. Boom. And back to sleep. And then I wake up the next morning and I've got a whole bunch of texts from him.
What?
Like first one. This is at 1:53 in the morning. I need you to trust me and let me podcast right now. Of course, I'm sleeping, so I don't see it. So a millisecond later, call me now. 2 milliseconds after that. Dude, like I'm supposed to be up at 2 in the morning waiting.
I got this. So he was sending the exact same messages to me.
I had to copy the text because I couldn't type very well because all the buttons were moving around.
So then I send to him.
Very coherent.
This is at 11:09 in the morning. I slept for like the rest of the night, basically 10 straight hours, with the exception of that one. And I was so happy when I woke up too. And then I looked at my phone and I remembered what happened, and I was instantly angry again, like instantly, like fucking cocksucker. This is what I send back to him. We're not in that place where a 2 a.m. panicked call for an immediate podcast is endearing. New rule. Never do that.
I actually steadfastly disagree with that, but go on. Stephen Fry would have been worth it, but go on.
That's at 11 in the morning. 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm feeling terrible about sending that to Jamesy because he was obviously excited, and I'm trying to be a better person. And I'm like, look, if I examine my part of that text, which was all of it, I basically told him to fuck off. So I send back, hey, been thinking about this response. Really sorry. I don't know if you had an appreciation I didn't have an appreciation or excitement for your 2 a.m. phone call, blah, blah, blah. But I'm very
generally
sorry,
resort to, okay. Yeah.
And he's like, it's okay, man. And then he's like, do you know who this guy is? Like, that was it. It wasn't like sorry for texting you at 2 a.m. He's just like, don't worry about it.
Hold on a second. Let me read the text. The text that I sent back was, "It's okay, man. Do you know who Stephen Fry is? I had him ready to be interviewed. It was a random opportunity. I'm sorry I woke you."
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I stand corrected.
right.
You did.
Oh my God! You know what? There's two kinds of people in the world. Some of us go to bed, and some stay up doing mushrooms.
That's right. That's right. Which one do you think is more fun, audience?
Let me ask you a quick question, Jamesy. You know us fairly well. What were you thinking in that moment? What were you seeing where you're like, this is a great idea? I'm going to call these guys.
I had the opportunity I had the opportunity to enter. My favorite person ever, public figure, was Christopher Hitchens, and this is Christopher Hitchens' best friend. Yeah, and I'm not going to lie, I probably was a little bit more excited, but the fact that it was a drop of the hat, it's now or never kind of thing, made me think that there was some sort of destiny taking place, perhaps.
Oh my God. So good.
What? So you know what I did? After all that stuff, Lachlan, you can tell me what I texted you in a second, but after I was done bugging you guys, I just decided to record the dopest rap song ever while on shrooms, and it would actually worked out better. Good for me. But
you are a remarkable rapper.
Unbelievable tune.
It is,
yeah. I don't know where it comes from. It's weird. Pretty white.
I do. I know where it comes from. Shrooms.
The performance does. Yes.
That was I still don't understand. I've never done that to somebody at 2 a.m, and I used to drink a lot.
Okay, let's say you were up, and let's say you were awake, and I was like, I got Stephen Fry. I can get him right now. Can you make it happen? You'd be like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Right? Wouldn't you?
Probably not.
Well, then I don't understand where your fucking heart is at. Okay.
Well, fuck, my heart is in my chest when I'm sleeping. Yeah. That's where my heart is.
The starting text for me was, dude, can you talk right now?
But you're like back in time like 3 hours or something, I thought.
Oh, I was out cold because I was 6 fucking beer deep before we even got off the pod.
Right. You don't do cocaine, I forgot.
Yeah. I did blow once, and I realized after I stayed up all night drinking that the combination of my alcoholism and a cocaine habit was probably not a good idea for old Locker.
Knowing how much I drank, I realized Coke wouldn't be a good additive.
No,
of my life.
I wish I took that advice.
Hey, I've been up all night drinking.
Wow.
And I'm driving a car right now. Quite well. This is a bad idea.
Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great interview with Maxime Bernier, by the way.
You know what?
I kind of wish he didn't he wasn't very direct with his answers. You remember the difference? Remember the Erskine Smith, how we said that he wasn't like drenched in the veneer of media training? Yeah. Max Bernier he knows what he's doing when he's talking. Like he knows how to meander. He knows how to meander for 30 seconds away from what you asked, right?
I think he also is unwilling at this point to just admit that
probably shouldn't.
He needs voters. And the guys that are going to probably vote for the PPC party are the types that are getting up and going to an anti-mask rally, right? Mm-hmm. Whether or not he's there for this reason or that reason, or he feels guilty about whatever, he needs voters, because I'll tell you, most people can't even tell you the name of his party, let alone tell you what it stands for. So this is maybe a little bit of press he wouldn't have gotten anyway. If he goes, it's a calculated risk maybe on his part, but I bet you that's why
I think that's a great point. Is he's like, I watched the rally in Barrie. He talked about his party and a new ideology. It's an opportunity, right? It's an opportunity for him to convey his platform. You're 100% right. Mm-hmm. He's out there stumping for his political life, and unfortunately, he happens to not be interested in keeping all Canadians safe. He's not interested in the greater good. I mean, you can say whatever you want. The greater good right now is shut the fuck up, put on a mask, do your best for your neighbor and the people that you love. That's it. If you're not feeling this, like I say all the time, you're doing it wrong. If you're citing a parade of numbers of people who are dead, and those numbers are, they're old people's numbers, you've got my attention. You've got my negative attention immediately.
He did sidestep that question. I thought, like, when I think all of us sort of asked him, like, you're hosting an event that for sure probably spread this virus. We have the numbers. I think it was 12. That means that there is a likelihood that someone will die because someone else that went to the rally, even though the person that died didn't, will pass away. And he didn't. He seemed to sidestep that. One thing I thought that was interesting is that I think that we can see that there are people with problematic views, let's just say, that are attracted to that party because it is the one to the furthest right. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the leader of that party holds the same values as those people. It's just that the political calculation is a vote is a vote is a vote.
And he's cherry picking their ideology for votes.
And O'Toole is avoiding the conversation about climate change.
Conservatives have that problem. The left are going to have that problem because eventually people in the middle, people that aren't represented, like us three, for the most part, I think will be tired of the woke policies coming through, and I think they're going to have to throw their extreme class under the bus too. And that doesn't mean that they necessarily hold the same views, but they pretend they do in order to make sure they get the votes, right? I think it's the same disease on either side.
The interesting part about this point in history that we're at, every 4 or 5 generations, we have something called a hero generation. We have a group of people willing to sacrifice themselves. I believe millennials are that hero generation, whether or not you believe it or not. Hang on, let me say this.
What?
There are a lot of very
fucking reading.
Well, hold it. When it comes to equality, human rights, when it comes to
carrying a purse,
dogs on a bone, we need a hero generation. Now, you can shit on them all you want, but there are some. No, because I know some pretty smart millennial people. No, but you can't fucking do that to an entire group of people. You can't. You can't say this entire generation of people is fucking stupid. You just can't do it. They said the same thing in 1930, 1940. They said this generation doesn't know anything. That generation made the greatest sacrifice mankind has ever known. That generation gave their lives for people they never met. That generation is a hero generation. I believe we have the same makings of a hero generation, but that generation needs to be cultured by fact. That generation needs to know what the common good is. That generation needs to know what a disenfranchised, lunatic libertarian looks like, which
that
is what we're talking about.
To read Orwell and understand it's not a blueprint. It's a warning.
Right. And there are a lot of very fucking poorly misinformed people, but they're misinformed in that generation by our generation, Generation Z, Gen X, whatever you want to fucking call us. So the problem that we have isn't so much that, one group believes one thing, one group believes the other. The problem that we have is people are looking to see who's right, and then they follow who's right, as opposed to following what's right. What's right? What are the facts? I deal in facts. I don't give a fuck about anything else when it comes to this. Nothing. I care about the truth, and that is it. And then after that, I have an action plan to go and help in every way I can with our platform, with me going and get vaccinated, talking about facts. And I've had to try to not be part of that outrage machine over the past little while. It's been conscious. It's been one of the things that I can't do anymore because we're in a fucking serious time, and serious times call for serious fucking people to do seriously hard things. And I'm no hero. None of us are on this call. For sure not James.
I don't want to be a hero. They're all douchebags.
But the truth, just the unvarnished objective truth is that people need to focus on what's right, not who's right. I would never vote for Max. He seems like a nice guy. But he's not right when it comes to this issue, which is the preeminent issue in our lifetime. In our lifetime. And when things are this fucking bad, who? Max?
Max, yeah. Like everybody we've had on here.
Yeah, Randy he's had great points too, but he's wrong when it comes to what he's doing and why he's doing it.
Overall, I think he might be leaning on the wrong side of things, but this is coming from a guy wearing a Ted Nugent t-shirt right now. So
this is true.
Yeah.
I've said Say no to drugs.
The fruit. I'm going to read this to you. See what you guys get out of this. Okay. Wrote it down in my book.
Is this from the weekend?
No. The fruit of this life is to have good character and commit acts for the common good. good character, acts for the common good. We don't exist to make ourselves better by making the lives of others fucking way worse. That's the problem I have. We work perfectly when we work together. No one wants to work together because everybody's together right now. Right. If you do these things, if you work for and if you serve the collective good, you're going to find happiness and respect for yourself. That's it. Not who's right, it's what's right.
But I also don't think it's a bad thing. You got hauled out on Twitter today by at least one or two people that I noticed on my feed that were like, oh, not following you anymore because you got Max coming on. And I think that's wrong. I think that is, I think we can, I mean, look at the swings we've taken on this podcast with the people we brought in here, right? From Nate to Max to Chris Sky.
I think you're right. But I think that eventually we'll stop talking about it, about how brave it is. I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but it seems like it's supposed to be considered brave now if you talk to someone on the left and then you talk to someone on the right.
And that's my issue with the millennial comment. They don't do that. We always get
flack. We get flack no matter who we bring on. Oh, you're a commie. Oh, you're a Nazi. I don't care. You're giving a platform to a Nazi. You're giving a platform to a commie. And it's just like, the more they say that, the happier I am that we're doing a good job. Seriously.
Do you guys read Marx, Lenin, Mao? Read any of those books?
Not since college.
No, I've read them all. And they're all despots.
I read the Lord of the Rings books. Why. The Hobbit was great.
Okay, I saw that movie. You guys watch this great book last night on TV called Breaking Bad. Great book. But you read those things because you want to educate yourself as to philosophy. How do people work? Successful people. And those are top-down people like we talked about that failed miserably towards the end. Hitler, top-down guy, failed miserably. Shot himself in the dick in his bunker and killed his overweight girlfriend. Yeah,
I think he moved to Venezuela. I thought he moved to Venezuela.
Or he moved to Venezuela, then got shot in the dick. Either way, someone shot Hitler in the dick, I'm pretty sure. So, wow. So you can't,
probably deserved it.
Well, for sure he did.
Isn't this quicker?
If anybody deserved to get shot in the dick, it was Hitler.
Yeah. I'd be on that list.
I don't think so. Anyway,
all right, boys.
Work together, not apart.
Chris Sky tomorrow. Is that going to happen? So. You guys, honestly, what do you think the odds of that happening?
50-50.
I wonder if he'll use like an actual laptop this time. Not.
I see it happening like this, only what comes back makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like okay. I think it's a Bernier thing, but it's a Bernier thing with someone who's very, very mentally unwell. Look forward to it.
Yes.
All right.
Have a good day.
By the way, I might be able to get the vaccine this week too.
Tomorrow morning, 8:00, I'm getting mine.
Oh, are you? They opened it up to 40 plus here.
AstraZeneca?
Yes. So I'm going to go get the AstraZeneca one. If you don't have to book an appointment and you just go stand, they got a big expo center, they call it. And then that's what it's called. And then you go in and it's like a super. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I can get the vein going.
Just so you know, Max was saying, if you don't get the vaccine, you have a 0.05% chance of dying. If you do get the vaccine, you have a 0.0004% chance of dying.
How about Max?
And you have less of a chance of getting blood clots. Actually, the whole blood clot thing, let me just kind of stop everybody right there.
1 in 10 chance of getting a blood clot if you get COVID.
It's a 1. You have a 2,000. What is it? What did they say again? You're 2,000 times more likely to die in your car on the way to getting your shot than you are of getting blood clots if you get the shot.
Yeah, and we also heard you have a 1 in 10 chance of getting a blood clot if you get COVID, which is huge.
Is that fact-based? You can't throw that around on itself.
We threw it around on our show.
Well, that's Edmonton, Alberta, though. That's different. Say whatever you want. All right. James D. Fiore, blackballmedia.ca, his new podcast called Blackballed with James D. Fiore.
I like your new logo, James. Very fucking slick. Very slick.
Guess what? Glenn Greenwald and Chomsky might be the same day.
Are you serious?
Well, it
just
might
record one and play one later. That's what you got to do. You don't want to blow your wad.
Read about Glenn Greenwald. He lives in Brazil. And he literally is the guy, him and a female film producer. He was the guy that Edward Snowden sent all the stuff to.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was the guy.
Wow. He was portrayed in that movie by the dude that played Spock in the new Star Trek. I always forget his name.
Oh,
yeah.
What's his name?
I know.
I know who you're talking about.
Right. But do you know
also
one remembers
in real
name?
life? Yeah.
Yes. Yes, that's right.
Anyway,
he was on that show about superhumans too, where they were. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh,
and if they didn't cast a
Vigo.
gay guy, Pink News would have been all over them. So they had to do that.
Hayden Pantyliner was in that movie, that show, right? Wasn't she? I believe she was.
I don't know if that's her actual name, but
I think it's something like that. Hayden Pantywear, Pantyliner, Panty Waist, something like that. Panty-air. I can't remember. Anyway, thanks for doing this. Lachlan Cross, 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton, the host of The Locker Room, at Lachlan Cross on Twitter. Great to see you. Thanks for doing
follow
this,
me.
brother.
I'll follow you back.
All right. And James
fun.
D. Fiore, at James D. Fiore on Twitter, blackballmedia.ca. New podcast called Blackballed, coming with Noam Chomsky. First guest.
On Star Wars Day, because he's the Yoda of progressive politics.
By the way, feel free to call midnight, so another 8 hours from now.
I will. I'm going to see if Chomsky will do shrooms with me. That'd be amazing.
That'd be great. Drop him and then
luck
call
with
me
that.
so I can tell him I don't care too. That'd be great.
Zachary Quinto. Is that the name of the actor?
Yeah, that's the guy, Zach. Pinto.
Okay. Thank you, Naked Cheese Whiz. Fuck. Jesus Christ. Is there any other way for Cheese Whiz to be than naked?
All right, I think I'm leaving because Dean's frozen.
Okay.
What's that?
Oh, no, he's unfrozen
he's
now.
back. He's back.
Remember how long he looked at the old couple that time?
That was creepy.
It was like 20 minutes. He was like this.
All right, I think he's gone again.
That's it. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching and listening. Whew. I always say, I thought this was going to go like 40 minutes. It's double that. Have a great day, everybody. Remember, we're here for the collective good. So if you're doing something that isn't contributing to the collective good, you're a dick. Thanks to our sponsors and friends. Quick shout out and hello to our friends at Blue Microphones, at Blue Microphones on Twitter. Or you can find them online www.worldwideweb, bluemic.com, bluemic.com, M-I-C, bluemic.com. Yeti X, I use it all the time. Blue Microphones all across the network. If you're part of the DeanBlundell.com podcast network, you get the goods. The goods. Got these goods too, the MoFi headphones. Grammy Award winning. Blue Microphones is everything you need to podcast, broadcast, or just do an excellent job of creating content at Blue Microphones, bluemic.com. Have a look now. Thanks to our friends at Gitch. Ed's Fine Import has them. edsfineimports.com. Order is Gitch. Use promo code GITCH3. You get the greatest underwear you've ever worn, fellas. Pouch in the front. Super breathable. Great waistband. You'll love them. edsfineimports.com. Gitch is the name of the brand of underwear. Luxury underwear for fellas. Go get some today. Domination.com. Try it for free. It's software that can't be beat. When you're creating content, you want to create promos. Takes so much time. Not with this, like 70, 80 promos in like 5 to 7 minutes. Super easy to use. Free to use. If you try it for free once, you'll go back. I guarantee you get some credits. Go to dmntn.com. Again, dmntn.com today. Black Rose Organics, better medicine at a better price. Now accepting medical patients. Go to shop.blackroseorganics.com. Again, shop.blackroseorganics.com. And take your medical license there. Because you know what they have? This thing called garlic sherbet. And then they got this other strain called garlic jelly. It's GMO. Unbelievable. One's 30%, one's 20%. You know it's medicine that works. And it's a lot cheaper than you'll get anywhere else as well. Usually an ounce is like between $250, $300 for a great quad. Not this stuff. It's incredible. $175 for an ounce. Medical cannabis, medical grade. So you know you're not getting stiffed. And they're craft cannabis people, so they know what they're doing. They actually care about the plant. Again, shop.blackroseorganics.com. Here's the rub. Got more rubs for you. The rub is you can actually apply to get your license, which you can get in minutes at shop.blackroseorganics.com. Again, shop.blackroseorganics.com. Get your license. Tell them I said hi. Everybody wins. Then you shop for better medicine at a better price. You want $100 off your ounce? Of course you do. Don't be stupid. Black Rose Organics. Shop.blackroseorganics.com. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. That's got her, as they say. with the exception of our friends at Easy Auto Financial, easyautofinancial.com. Subprime loaning for cars. You need financing, super hard to get, specifically if you've been boned by this whole pandemic. They want to make sure you can drive. They'll set you up with the car, they'll set you up with the financing, then they'll set you up with the dealer. EasyAutoFinancial.ca. Go there and check them out. Thanks, everybody. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, DeanBlundell.com. Appreciate everybody being here. Thanks to our friend Maxime Bernier for joining us. Don't be ignorant because you don't like him. Probably has some good shit to say. Said some good shit. Said some stuff we disagree with. That's reality here. That's the mentality here. The greater good. Bye.
Not Woods.
Oh shit.
I think we need to hear that again. I loved it so much. Everybody has to laugh quietly. Stay dry.